How's it going, everyone? Today, we're going to be talking about my favorite superhero, Spider-Man. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Ultimate Spider-Man by Michael Bendis. He was the guy who started this offshoot multiversal version of Spider-Man, where he is a Joe Schmo, average high schooler nerd trying to survive and get to college. But obviously, that average life of being Peter Parker, nerd, scientist kid, all goes out the window when he gets bitten by the radioactive spider. But in this version, it's actually a genetically enhanced spider. First, we're going to start off at the very beginning. First, we see a laboratory and a man named Norman Osborn and a bunch of his lackeys and his scientists. They are currently crafting and trying to make a genetically enhanced spider. This spider is supposed to give people powers similar to the super soldier serum that Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, got back in World War II that no one's been able to produce because the guy who made it fell asleep while making it and died soon after. So it's been a genetic war to get a working, living serum that's not going to kill the host. So, and then we cut to Peter Parker. Peter Parker, high school nerd, freshman, sophomore year in high school, and he's a huge nerd. Has a couple friends, like Mary Jane, who's he's known forever, who's been his neighbor for all his life, and has had a crush on her for some time now. And you see Peter Parker, he's at lunch. He's getting bullied by two characters. One of them is a big, fat, bald kid with a goatee, with a bald head. That is Kong. Kong and his buddy, long kid with a bowl cut, that's Flash Thompson. Throwing food at Peter Parker and high-fiving each other. Yeah! Puny Parker and other insults that no one would ever say ever. Because this book came out in 2000. And the goal of Bendis when making this book was to set it in the times now, like modern day during 2000. So very 2000-y pop culture references and stuff like that. Not as timeless as other Spider-Man comics, but still very good writing, very good characters, etc., etc. So after Peter gets a bunch of food thrown at him and gets made fun of, his Uncle Ben, that we rarely see in usual comics, but in this series, he's a much bigger player in shaping Peter Parker during his high school days. So then Mary Jane, Uncle Ben, Peter are talking he has friends and whatnot. And then it cuts to, again, more bullying of Peter Parker. Peter Parker is then tripped and kicked by Flash and Kong because that's the game they have. But then after he gets kicked in the back and pushed over by Kong and Flash, the principal of the school comes and basically reprimands Parker from being bullied. Which I didn't really understand. It's like, you shouldn't let him do that. And there was get up all of his face about it. But like, he's a 5 foot tall skinny nerd. Like, what are you gonna do against like a 6'4" linebacker? Then another character comes in, this cool, hot, in leather jeans, in leather black jacket and jeans. And his name is not Norman Osborn. That's Dad. That's the guy we met earlier in the story. That was his lab at Osborn Labs. I think it's called Osborn Laboratory, something like that, in this universe. But Harry Osborn, this man in the black leather jacket and jeans, cool guy at school. Dad, rich guy, has a lot of money because Harry Osborn's dad is Norman Osborn, and he runs Oscorp, a big laboratory that makes Spider. So Daddy's money rich kid. And he's like, oh, Parker, you shouldn't, let them bully you like that. Like, I'll defend you if you do my homework, because Harry Osborn, his dad's like a brilliant scientist and soon to be the Green Goblin, but that's not for this story. He's not the brightest bulb, but he's smart. He's pretty smart, smarter than the average student, obviously, but not like in the genetics, robotics, engineering type field. So basically, Harry was like, hey, if you help me do my homework and stuff, I'll try to get the bullies off your back. And Peter's like, cool, come over later. So then we cut to gym class, where Peter Parker is watching Flash Gordon dunk, and the gym teacher's like, Parker, shoot the ball! And basically calls him a wimp and a girl because she's like a girl. Now we cut to Peter Parker at home with Uncle Ben and Aunt May. Aunt May is a mother figure. Uncle Ben is Peter's father figure. And they're talking about school and stuff and life. And Peter's not paying attention because he's reading at the dinner table. Because he's a nerd. And we have to keep going back to that. He's a nerd and he likes to read. Later on, though, after they have dinner, Harry comes over and talks to Peter about the lab that he has in the basement that we see. It's just huge, huge, but like pretty robust laboratory in the basement. And we find out about this, that Harry is like, oh yeah, this is kind of like what my dad does at Oscorp. But, and then kind of gets into like, oh, I only talk to my dad, kind of, and that's for later. And also Peter talks about how, oh yeah, I didn't buy this stuff. This was all from his parents. And he doesn't really know his parents. Both his parents died before Peter really had memories of like doing stuff with them. And they gave up Peter to Uncle Ben and Aunt May, and they died soon after that. But they were both scientists, and we'll figure out what happened to them down the line in the story. Then we cut to outside the Oscorp residence mansion. Huge mansion that you can imagine with a nice car out front. Now we see Harry walking into his house, and his dad's on the phone talking about the spider and other projects and money and other villainous things. And he's there with also one of his henchmen, manservant people. And Harry's like, hey Dad, you know, all the kids at school are coming on a field trip to see Oscorp. This is a big field trip that I would really like you to be there at. And he basically just blows Harry off. He's like, Harry, well, actually no, he calls his wife. He's like, Martha, whatever his wife's name is, because she's basically a villain from the story. She doesn't really show up that much. Get Harry out of here, like, and just completely just brushes him off and kicks him out of the room. Which is sad. Harry just wants to have a connection with his father, and it just never really comes to be, unfortunately. Then we cut to the actual field trip itself, with Peter Parker's there, Mary Jane, Kong, Flash, all the cast of characters are there that are in the high school. And after a couple things happen and fun interactions here and there between Mary Jane and Peter Parker, the sparks are flying a little bit, starting to, you know, get all romantical and stuff. The genetic spider from earlier, jumps out of its containment and jumps onto Mary Jane's chest. Then she freaks out and flings the spider, and it attaches to Peter Parker's hand and bites him. This is the classic thing of Peter Parker gets bit by a spider, and now all that from 616, or the original Spider-Man universe, radiation goes into his body, and he starts developing powers. This version, instead of radiation, it's genetics. So a genetically enhanced spider bites him and like starts changing his DNA right as soon as he gets bit. But this is a huge spider, like a tarantula-sized spider. In the other comics, in the original comics and stuff, it's your regular house spider, like, you know, this big. But we're talking about like a dinner plate type of spider, which is terrifying. And it's got like eyes on the back on its butt. It's crazy. It's really gross. And bleh. Anyway, after he gets bit, Kong comes around and goes, "Hey, I'll get the spider," and just squashes it. But then Peter literally starts passing out. Like it's just going black all around him, and everyone's like, "Peter, you okay?" And he passes out. Then he awakes on the bus. And Mary Jane's like, "Oh, are you okay?" And the teacher's like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry you got bit. That sucks." And then Peter's like, "Oh, it's fine, it's whatever. I'm just gonna go home and, you know, relax." And then we cut to Osborn, where all his henchmen and his board of ne'er-do-wells are like, "Hey, that spider get out and bit Peter. Do you think they're gonna sue us or something? So we should like pay the medical bills." But wait, if you pay the medical bills, his medical bills, then that's like admission of guilt. And they keep talking amongst themselves, and Osborn is like, "Everyone shut up. We're gonna pay his medical bills, and we're gonna give him a fruit basket out of sort of friendship and good faith." And they were like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because we want to keep an eye on him." Because Osborn knows that this spider has a lot of genetic stuff inside of it that was changed by his company, and thinks this is like human trials. Let's see how far this goes. The next day, He's going about his day, doing the usual thing. He's like, ah, Peter, you're passed out, ha, from Flash and Kong. He's like, whatever. And they go to kick him. But then Peter feels this sensation in his head. And then he dodges the kick, picks up Kong's leg, backflips him, and Kong falls straight on his face. And Peter's like, oh my God, I just defended myself. This is crazy. And Kong's like, oh, that punk kid just threw me in the face. And he gets a little mad and stuff. He's like, what happened? Then Peter passes out again. Cut to him waking up in the hospital. And the doctor's like, oh, dude, what's going on with you? He's like, I don't know. I passed out twice. I have a red spider. So they decided to test his blood. The nurse tries to test the blood. This test the blood by getting a sample from a syringe. The needle has a very hard time piercing Peter's skin. Very hard time. Nurse comments on this. Peter's like, I don't know. Because, he doesn't know. But very suspicious. What's going on? Hint powers. And then after the blood is drawn, nurse sends it to testing, but one of Osborn's henchmen picks it up and brings it to Osborn. Osborn then tests the blood, and his henchmen around him, they're like, oh, he's gonna die. We can already tell from all his blood tests and stuff that he's gonna die from his cellular degeneration's gonna be really bad, and we're gonna get sued out the butt. So they're like, we should just fake an accident with Peter. So the same guy that went to go and took Peter's blood sample drives around and tries to find Peter. And this henchman man then sees him on the side of the road and starts driving straight at him while Peter's on the sidewalk. Again, Spider-Man with his now new spider sense, which that will be coined later. He backflips over the entire car that he doesn't see that is plowing right for him. And then that guy then basically almost drives us into the tree, and Peter's like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, thinking this was an accident. Then that guy pulling a gun out of his breast pocket, and Peter gets another spider sense warning and then runs away. Then the henchman hitman guy is like, Osborn, calls him up. He's like, he got away. And Osborn's like, what? Abort mission that he wants to study the kid and not to kill him. The guy, just for some reason, got it mixed up. I don't know why Osborn sent a hitman to not kill a kid. I don't know, kind of confusing. Then Peter Parker's like, oh my God, what happened? There's a sense in my brain. I don't know what's going on with me. And because of all these antics and stuff of him going to the hospital and then him getting almost hit by a car, and he's doing all this research, he skipped school for that day. And he gets home a little bit early, and his parents are like, why are you in school? You just show up to school, get a call from your school. Why are you in school? He's like, I don't feel like going. And you're like, oh, Peter didn't want to go to school. Peter didn't go to school. Ha ha ha. You're grounded. You have to go to school to get education, and we're not going to be raising someone who's going to skip class. No matter how smart you are, you got to learn. So Peter's like, I'm 15. You can't ground me. And they send him up to his room. But they're like, we know he had a rough day, so we're going to give him Aunt May's famous banana bread that will soon to be a recurring character in food, part of the series. But then Spider-Man, not yet, but Peter Parker, then gets him into his room. He's all angry and stuff, and shuts the door. And he sits there and he's like, oh, I had such a rough day. And he passes out. He goes to bed. Then he wakes up in the middle of the night, like almost 4:35 a.m. And he's like, oh, I should probably test out my powers. And he grabs on the wall with his fingers and it sticks. He tries another hand. He tries a foot. He tries another foot. And as soon as we know it, he's upside down hanging from the ceiling by just his fingertips and his feet. Hey guys, Future Max here, /Editor Max. Sorry for the weird cut. The audio at the outro got really choppy and weird, so I decided to redo it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope even more that you go check out Ultimate Spider-Man, because it's an amazing ride that just keeps getting better and better and better. And if you have any interest in a new Spider-Man who's just stumbling around, trying to figure himself out and life out, please go check it out. It's on Amazon, it's at your local comic book store, it's at probably Barnes & Nobles or something. It's cheap now. It's a 24-year-old book, so you're not going to be paying top dollar for it. So it's cheap, it's easy, there's no excuse, you should go check it out. And again, I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.